Well, Austin, it's a pleasure having you in the office. Thank you very much for making your way out here. It truly is an honor, and I'm looking forward to making our way to a Bulls game tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me, and go Bulls, baby.
We had to. Yeah, exactly. I'm ready to tell some of the action tonight.
We'll see. We'll have to have something on the game tonight.
We had to drag you out of sunny Florida. So
yeah, you brought me into the cold, which I didn't really appreciate, but you know what? I'm here for the fans out there, so.
Well, it's supposed to be like negative 10 degrees this weekend. So
I heard we're getting a blizzard.
Yeah, you picked the right time.
What can you do?
Well, hey, man, I am super excited to dive right into things. We've had subscribers of yours reach out and ask if you would be willing to hop on the show, and so I'm thrilled that we were able to pull it off. But I want to dive right back into where this whole brand started. I was doing my research this morning and blown away to see that this brand started pretty much just 3 years ago. Tell me a little bit about how you decided to jump into this thing and get it off the ground.
Yeah, so actually my wife recommended for me right around COVID when it was starting around 2020. I was like, right, sports were dead, and I actually started out as like a fantasy football guy. I've always played fantasy football probably since I was a kid. My dad, I was in leagues when I was like 7 years old, knowing like Steven Jackson and all these iconic running backs that a lot of people probably don't know of right now. And then I just started giving out picks and stuff like that, and just slowly started writing for a couple companies and didn't really enjoy it. Wasn't getting paid well. I was like, well, I'd rather work for myself and do something on the side that I enjoy. I can post whatever I want and not worry about, you saying, hey, I don't like your article. So I just started, recording videos. Actually, my first ever videos were like some podcasts, and they were real cringy. I still keep them up on YouTube, and they were just us talking about whatever is happening in sports. And slowly but surely around like 2021, I started releasing my favorite picks of the day, and I started recording a video with it. And those videos, same thing, really cringy. I didn't really know what I was doing. And eventually now that I'm 1,500 videos, I have no idea how many videos I've done, but slowly just started building up and everything started growing. And I guess I was decent at it. I won't say I'm the best, but I was pretty good. People were making money with my picks, and they were just sharing the videos with people. And, we started originally, I remember uploading my best bets video and was like super pumped when we got like 25 or 50 views. And then, slowly but surely we get 1,000. 5,000, and now we're over 25, 30,000. If I'm on a hot streak, it gets up to 50 to 60, and so it's nuts to see where the communities came. Obviously, the Ladder Challenge did big things for it back in 2023, early in that year, but kind of just trying to build and kind of grow and find different things to kind of bring people together. And I think that's the biggest thing is the community aspect we bring. I'm just a normal person that gives up my picks. You can always reach out to me, and I'm always there for whether it's sports or whether it's talking to someone if they're going through tough times. I'm always there for them, and I think that's the biggest thing. Why people keep coming back to the community.
Yeah, that's probably my favorite part about you as a human being and a capper, in that when you jumped on our all hands, a couple months ago, that was a point of emphasis for you, where like getting hundreds of DMs. I do everything physically possible to respond to each and every person. But Austin's being incredibly humble. For those of you that aren't familiar with the Calling Our Shot brand, 300,000 followers on Twitter, 200,000 subscribers on YouTube. Like, this thing has become a behemoth, and my favorite part is that you've stayed the same.
260 on TikTok too.
260 on TikTok.
60 on Instagram.
Oh my God.
I'm just kidding. No, but no, I mean, it's like that's unreal numbers. It's even like, and we're at the beginning of 2024, and I try to, it's like last year, my realistic expectation was like long shot goal at 100,000 subscribers in 2023. And we accomplished that goal in January. And so I was like, I don't know what that can do the rest of the year. But like, I wouldn't be anywhere without all the people out there that are in the community and that have ever watched a video. Heck, if they even liked a video or commented or whatever, I wouldn't be in this position. So I say that humbly. I just kind of just messing with you on some numbers. But I mean, it's crazy the outreach that we've had on the community. And, we'll see where this next year brings us.
That is the most special part about what you've built. It is the focus on the community aspect. In your Dub Club, you launched it with a Discord, and that was a priority of yours because you wanted that community feel and that community aspect. I know you also have a YouTube community in which people are interacting and talking all day. Tell me a little bit about when this focus on the community aspect began and how you've been able to maintain it.
Yeah, I mean, it's always been since day one. When we had 25 viewers on the video, people that would comment, I could get 3 comments. I was responding to all of them. They're like, hey, how do you feel about this play? Or maybe they didn't even like one of my plays. I would still respond back, have that discourse with them. And then, that slowly, like I said, when the viewers kept going up and up and up, I still tried to respond to all the comments that I got. Now it's real tough because we get so many of them and I got other things to do. But I still try to go back and, I remember a lot of our, day one people have been here for 3 years that are still watching the videos religiously. They're in the Dub Club or whatever, interacting there. It's tough though. I'm like, if you go onto my phone, there's people out there that got hundreds of unread texts. I got zero. I don't have any unread texts. I respond to everyone, which is why I don't give out my phone number to a lot of people. And you can delete my number after this. But at the end of the day, I've always actually want to just get back to people. I mean, like I said, people have blessed me with the position that I'm in, and so at least to be able to respond back to them, give them an ounce of my time for how much they've given to me is, I feel like that's at least the least I can do.
Yeah, and talking about getting back to people, I will.
Are you one of those people? With
No. I'm okay. I need to be better. So this is good.
He's lying to the people out there.
This is good inspiration. One thing that's amazing about you is I'm West Coast based. You're obviously East Coast based. I will wake up at 2:00 in the morning. I won't wake up at 2:00 in the morning. When I do get up, I see a text message from you at 2:00 in the morning. If I'd sent it the night before, you are an early bird and an extremely late worker as well. Talk to me about a day in the life of Austin.
Yeah, some days are easier than others. I crave for when the All-Star breaks come around. That is like my vacation time of the year. So MLB All-Star break and NBA All-Star break, don't even bother reaching out to me. I look forward to those times. But yeah, it's a grind. But like I said, I do it all for the people I watch. And, the day in the life, I try. I won't say I'm consistently up at 5 a.m. every day, but I try to. And some days are different. Like when we're recording this video, I was up at 1 a.m. Or I went to bed at 1, woke up at 2. Sorry, my mistake. But, some days are longer, some days are crazy. And, it is. People don't maybe see the behind the scenes, like how much work goes into it to just not only find picks, but then having to do all the video editing and recording, all that stuff. So I would say, day in the life, probably wake up at 5, try to find my favorite picks. Maybe that takes an hour or two, depending on how big the slate is. Probably try to get everything uploaded by like 9 or 10. And then the fun begins when you have other sports on besides basketball. So if NFL is on, I got to do videos for that. MLB, college football sometimes too. It's like I said, I got over like 1,600 videos, so I don't even remember at this point. Just like a broken record. Just play me on loop. I got a bunch of like buttons that you could push, and I could just do my intro if you want.
I know how many videos. It's like, I think when I was checking it was 1.85 or something like that. So you're gonna break the 2,000 mark here shortly.
Sounds about accurate. I think we might have just passed 25 million views too, which is pretty cool.
Yep.
Cool monument.
You did. You more than just passed it. I think you're well beyond it. It is in the 25 million range, but you're on the upper echelon of that. Something that you hit on was regarding picks. Talk to me about a couple things. One, your favorite sports to handicap, and then two, where does your research even start? Like when you are looking at the board and spending 2 hours trying to find action, is it on props? Is it on sides? Is it on totals? Is it a mix of both?
Yeah, I've always been a guy that loves player props. Like, I don't know, it's something about it. Maybe I've been burned by too many spreads where I'm like, I've got the team -4.5, they're up by 5, and some guy just yeets one from half court and banks it in, and you're like, you gotta be kidding me, that did not count. And that just painful. So I like betting on individual players. I feel like it's a little bit easier. And so for specifically NBA, which I would say is my favorite sport, I played it when I was growing up, and even when I wasn't on a team, I still went and played with my buddies at the local neighborhood and all that stuff. So I feel like I have a good grasp of NBA. My strategy, I'm actually a big guy that bets on a lot of bounce backs. A guy that guys might have had a bad game, and everyone's gonna have bad games. I'm gonna have bad betting nights. It's gonna happen, but normally I like to bet on those guys that are they're proven veterans. They're going to come back and play pretty aggressive the next game. And maybe the books will lower their lines because they're like, oh, they just scored 9 points last game. But, studs like that just don't have bad games back to back. So you're just looking for good spots, good matchups, and just trying to go from there. There also are some guys that I probably bet on almost every night just because I probably like they're in a game. I try not to do that too much and not to be too biased, but there are some guys out there. Shout out Jalen Brunson, probably one of my number one guys. But hey, he's always respected my money, so I can't fault him for that.
Something that you hit on earlier that I want to touch on was the ladder challenge, because that was a big point of growth for you. Talk to people who may not be familiar with it about what it is, and then talk about what it was like when you started getting that thing going.
Yeah, so the ladder challenge, it's a pretty simple concept. It's, you're trying to start with $10, and certainly people start with more than that, although I do not advise that. They start with $10, and you just reinvest your money. So let's say, I like one pick, I put all my $10 on it, cashes the next day, day 2, if you will, I would have $20, and you reinvest it, and then you're trying to turn $20, 10 to 20 to 40 to 80 to 160 and so on. If you hit 10 straight, you're at like 10,500, give or take. And so that, was not the person that, came up with that. People have done that for a long time, but I think it was the first person that put every platform together, and the person that you didn't just do it on Twitter, didn't just do it maybe on YouTube. I did it everywhere. So back in January of 23, I posted not just on Twitter, on YouTube, on TikTok, on Instagram, everywhere, and it felt like it was nuts. It was a nuts time. I remember some TikToks of people celebrating it that I don't even know who the heck they are, and they just went viral like that. And so right now I'm able to see kind of how many people bet it, but back then I wasn't. FanDuel didn't have that ability to say, hey, 20,000 people are riding it. Now I can know sometimes there's like 25, 30,000 people on it. But back then when it was going ballistic, I would not be surprised there was upwards of like 100,000 people on the same exact bet, which was crazy. It was a crazy sweat. We've never been able to accomplish it. I know we'll get it done. I mean, I'm a big stats nerd. That's what I went to college for. So I know hitting 10 straight picks is realistically very hard to do. It's obviously, if it were easy, everyone would do it. But one day I know we're going to get it done. It's just a matter of time of getting those lucky, everything to line up right once. But during that time back in January of 23, yeah, I don't know. My wife could probably attest to it. I was sitting sweating at every game, every shot going up. If you had to get to the fourth quarter, I had to take showers way too many times. Right? But it was all a lot of fun, and it's still something we chase and something that even if we aren't able to complete it, I think it's a lot of fun to have the whole community kind of betting on the same thing. We're all rooting for the same players to do the same exact thing, which I think is really cool.
Absolutely. And we had a super interesting conversation probably about 3-4 months ago as the NBA season was just kicking. So it would have been about 3 months ago. You take speaking of it being fun, an exciting approach in that sometimes you will piece together as many as 4 legs in an individual play. Is that an approach that you take every time? Is that something that you do because it's more entertaining having more action? Is that something just because the value of taking these alternate lines? Talk through your strategy there.
Yeah, I mean, there's no perfect strategy for the ladder challenge. There's people that do it via straight bets or 2-leg parlays. Maybe some people go like 8 legs, which I think that's madness. But hey, go do whatever you want. It's your money. At the end of the day, betting is a lot more about having fun. A lot of people probably aren't going to make money doing it, but that's not really the reason a lot of people are doing it. They're doing it more so, hey, they want to have something fun to watch on a game that might not mean anything to a lot of people. So my normal strategy, and it's hard to go away from the normal strategy because if you went back to this time I get all the way to day 9, was a lot of 3-4 leg parlays, and we got all the way there. We had turned $10 into $2,500. Losing that was agonizing. That was painful. I don't wish that upon anyone. And if I ever get there, I don't know how I'll be able to push through that. But yeah, I feel like we got so far doing that one strategy. I obviously want to mix it up, but that has been the strategy that I feel like has yielded the best results. But it's not necessarily. I know there's the plus EV people out there are absolutely coming for my head anytime I take a 4-leg parlay. But you know what? It is what it is. We're just that's man. We could do a whole nother podcast. That's
exactly
X-rated version of this.
That was my biggest takeaway from our conversation was that you hit the nail on the head. Like the whole point of betting is to have fun. Yes, there are people who want to pursue it as a way to make money, but I know I'm the guy that just wants to have some action on a game so it's more entertaining and more fun and I get sweat out action. But that was my thought was like, I would much rather have 4 games with action going on and clicking through different tabs and changing channels just so I get the ultimate sweat. I don't just want one bet in a given night.
It's a lot of fun to have. You're betting on. So I like to do sometimes I like to target like one specific game, and you're just rooting for like 4 other guys. And I feel like when you have those alternate lines, the guy could suck in the first half, and you still got a chance. Yeah. Whereas if you take the regular line, like he scores 2 points, you need 25. You're like, all right, well, day 1's tomorrow, kind of thing. Right? Thank you. That's just how it works. So I don't know. It's everyone wants to do different ways. It's just all how you feel like doing it, and that's what I found to be the most fun. But maybe I'll switch it up as the days go on.
Let's talk about favorite sports to bet. I mean, it seems like actually watching NBA and researching NBA is the most interesting for you. Do you feel like there's a sport where you can find more value in than others?
That's a good question. I honestly feel like NFL, you can find a lot more value these days. I feel like NBA, you got Luka Doncic set for 36.5 points. Yeah. Like to score 40 plus points is plus 140. Like that's great. Yeah, that's just like, what are we doing here? And I feel like NBA used to be better. Like I swear when I got into the market like 2 years ago, you could get good value on those guys. It's just not there anymore. So I feel like NFL is probably the best sport. I don't do a lot. I know there's other guys out there that do a lot more long shot type plays, and I do my fair share of them, not as much as the other people that make a living off of that. I'm more of a straight bettor, but I feel like more value in the NFL just because you can take guys for 100, 125 yards, or maybe for 6, 7, 8 receptions. You can get a lot more value going up and up and up, whereas you don't get a ton of value in basketball. But obviously it changes day by day. You never really know.
Yeah, that's fascinating in that I also never thought about it this way. In basketball, there are 5 guys on the court. There are 15 guys on an NBA team, whereas in football, you can be betting on the 5th wide receiver, 4th wide receiver for a team to get over 0.5 catches. And if you have an edge there, you might as well take it. So that's super interesting. How about bet types in the NBA? Are you generally leaning towards points, PRA, assists in particular, rebounds, or does it really just vary?
People out there that watch my videos this year have known I've had terrible luck on assists. I just cannot bet them.
Stay away from assists.
I swear almost every bet I do normally includes points in some aspect, whether it's points plus assists or it's PRA, points plus rebounds. I try to do that just because, and there aren't a lot of guys that are out there just only facilitating. There's not a lot of Rajon Rondos left in the NBA that are just out there to get their teammates shots. So I normally just like to do a lot more points. I think it's more fun to root on. And I always say, the reason I don't do a lot of assists is because you need 2 guys to do something right, whereas points, you only need 1 guy to do something right. Like you can make the best pass in the world, and that guy could just absolutely brick a layup. And that's happened plenty of times. It's like, I could probably make that shot. But I also, I don't get paid to do that, and I probably would miss it. So we're going to be honest, but I like a lot more points props than anything. People could go through. Rebounds aren't terrible, but same thing. You need the ball to bounce your way. And unless you're like Andre Drummond, who gobbles up like literally every rebound, you're really not going to get a ton unless you get lucky, which I feel like that's kind of the case.
Absolutely. I want to transition to something that we hit on earlier regarding community. One of my favorite parts about you and your Dub Club is you're charging as affordable as somebody possibly could for this type of offering at less than $10 a month. I mean, you can barely buy a coffee these days for that price point. What is the reasoning behind that? I imagine it's going to be your focus and emphasis on the community, but talk to me a little bit about the affordability of the product that you're serving, given how high value it really is.
Yeah, we've always wanted to make it as inclusive as possible. So, we only charge for $5.99 a month, and heck, if you probably don't record this, if you probably reach out to me, I'll probably give you a 2-week trial or something. But I just want people to be in there to have fun. I feel like there's a lot of value that comes from it, and the main perk is that we post lines early. And since we have such a big community, if I post a bet right now, I could bet you the line probably changes just from me putting it out, and that's crazy to think about in hindsight that we're moving markets, but so I want those people to be in there, but I also want those people, it's obviously $5.99 a month. It's not a big number, but it is at least a dollar amount that makes people more engaged and more active and more like wanting to be there. And that's kind of why we do that. But, it also is not, an amount where if we have a bad losing night, it's not like a terrible, like I'm paying $50 for this guy and he just went 0 for 4. Yeah. I don't want to deal with that stress. I already have enough stress. Like the ladder challenge brings a lot of stress on my life, and just even having a bad night, my DMs just go, there's just too many to count that are just not very nice. But it's all about trying to be as inclusive as possible. And if people don't want to pay it, it's not like we'll never see my picks. You'll still get them for free. I just post them a couple hours later for everyone else to go out there, and then the lines probably have changed. And when some guy lands right on the hook and you complain, probably going to shoot you the Dub Club link.
Yeah,
that's how it be.
As a longtime follower of yours, I have had that experience where I may not be on my phone at a given time, or I may have missed the Twitter notification. So as a subscriber of your Dub Club, I'm always maximizing CLV, and I think that's the main value point for folks. Tell me about the Discord a little bit, because I know that was a new opportunity for you to take over. And from what it sounds like you've really enjoyed the experience of getting all of your fans, followers, subscribers kind of in one place to interact and sweat with each other. What's it like in the Discord when you guys are having a rockin' night?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun when we're having a really good night and the vibes are high. There are some nights when the vibes aren't too high, but we aren't going to worry about those. But like I said, I did it because I wanted to be able to talk and interact with people. So like if you had a question like, hey, how do you feel about Donovan Mitchell's over in points tonight? I can give you my thoughts pretty quickly. Whereas with some other people, if you were to go into YouTube to comment it, I get too many comments to where I don't get all the notifications from those. So very rarely will I see your comment. But if you ping me in the Discord and Dub Club, it's super easy for me to go in and say, hey, Donovan Mitchell coming off a bad game, I think he plays well. But that's why I like the community aspect. Obviously, it's fun to sweat out everything. And when we're watching a Lakers game late at night, all rooting for Scotty Barnes to score 3 more points, and then he does it, everyone goes crazy, and that's super, euphoric. But, I think that's, the most fun of it. But it is just being able to communicate with people and just be able to answer questions. And some questions might not even be, basketball related. Maybe they're asking where I'm sitting at the game tonight, and I'm able to, communicate with them. Whereas, like, I don't want to give out my phone. Like I said at the start of this, I don't like having unread things. So that's why if you ping me in the Discord, I'm gonna probably answer. Yeah. But text messages, I try to keep those pretty low key. So it's like a way of texting me, but not really texting.
Well, I'm honored that I am one of the few with the phone number.
My wife doesn't even have it.
Well, hey, speaking of games, we got to make our way to a game here pretty soon. So more than anything, it's a pleasure to have you on the platform. It's an honor to have you on the platform. I want to thank you for making the time to get out here to Chicago. And thanks for everything you do for the sports betting community, because you're nothing but a positive figure in it.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate Dub Club for everything that they've been able to give us, and the partnership that we have with you guys is awesome, and the constant, growing and feedback and things that you guys build are always like, and that's not just me, it's Logan who also is behind the scenes for us too, that there's things that we're like, oh, that's a really good idea, and then you guys are like, we're already building that. Which is kind of lame. We need to come up with we need to be more creative, I guess. But you guys do a great job behind the scenes. A lot of people probably don't give you guys your props, but you guys have done a really good job at helping us grow our community, but just build new and more products and make it super easy for people to communicate. And just join the Dub Club is probably the easiest thing. So appreciate you guys for letting me get on here, and I'll get out of your hair.
That means the world to hear. And once again, thanks for everything you do, and thanks for the kind words.
Yeah, appreciate it.